Howdy there, folks. My name is Max. This is Bill.
G'day.
We're talking about one of our favourite miniatures games that's actually recently come out, Marvel Crisis Protocol. It's an awesome skirmish game. It's where you bring kind of 10 of your favourite heroes versus 10 of their favourite heroes. You build your team based on the mission, which is really cool. And most importantly, rather than a points value, they have what's called a threat value. Most missions go from about, 17, 15?
Yeah, 17's the average, 15 being the least, 20 being the most.
Yeah, 15 to 20, and we're specifically talking about 2-point characters. Obviously, kind of 15 to 22 points is absolutely minuscule, so the impact that these characters can have on the game is surprisingly not minuscule.
Exactly.
So we're going to jump straight into that. We're talking about the first character here from the core game, was it?
Yes, so Black Widow in the core set. 2 threat, obviously, has got a kind of interesting card layout, which is she's got pretty weak defense, but is very difficult to hit.
She's got the dodge ability. What's it called?
She's got stealth, which means characters must be within range 3 to hit her.
So no long range beams.
So no long range beams, and there's definitely, especially now with more releases, there's a lot more threats out there with range 4, range 5. So she's starting to get more value actually. My general opinion is that she was great when it was just the core set, but new 2 threat heroes and new...
Well, when I played with her, you could just throw her straight onto the objective. First action of the game was almost move, and they have to at least move before they start shooting her, full stop.
Exactly.
And she's also got the, is it martial artist, where she can dodge abilities when she's close range as well?
So if they're within range 2, they get to add blanks to the successful defense die, but only against physical and energy attacks, which at the moment is the prevalent attacks. There's not a lot of Mystic out yet.
I think MODOK's the big one for Mystic.
Exactly, but we've got Doctor Strange coming, we've got Ebony Maw, so there's lots of more threats on the way, and you've kind of nailed the nail on the head, which is the Black Widow is very much an objective grabber. That seems to be her primary goal. She's got... her mixed technique is range 2, but it allows her to move or advance small if she gets a wild in the attack. She's got...
So she can attack and move as well?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Wow, some huge mobility on Black Widow.
Exactly, and her main goal is... get to an objective or pick up an objective. I especially think picking up an objective is kind of the core thing you want to focus with her.
She can move round 1, and then she's just sitting there kind of rolling on... what was the game mode that we played where you had to find the aliens in the civilians?
Yeah, the Kree Palcor, I believe it's called.
Yeah, okay. And so you can just keep rolling dice on that because she's already moved, and if she's in cover especially, and struggling to get shot at.
But shooting in, picking an objective and shooting out seems to be the kind of go-to tactic that I've seen. I guess where she gets left behind is that she's quite weak once people figure out how to get into that position, that threat zone between range 2 and range 3. People go, and then she's very easy to flip. She's only got 4 stamina, which is her health. And like 3 to 4 as far as
big punch from a higher character.
Exactly, yeah. Especially a lot of the ranged attacks are energy based, which means that and her lowest defense is energy at 2.
2 defense on energy.
So it tends to be she tends to get kind of knocked out pretty quickly. As far as she's a great gap filler if you're trying to make Avengers affiliation.
Of course.
Affiliation, because she's only...
Didn't even think of the affiliation abilities there, just for 2 threat to try and fill up the rest of the affiliation.
If you want a really cheap way to get Captain America and his whole thing, because that ability is fantastic, is to throw a Black Widow in there. It's 2 threat. She can be in most games. And
awesome movement, great for the Avengers. Seems pretty powerful. But you reckon that she's getting overshadowed at the moment by a lot of the other characters. So we're going to jump straight on to our next one, Nebula.
Yeah, so Nebula's the one I know least about, but she seems very interesting. She's got a innate ability called Assassin, which means she can't actually pick up objectives or contest them.
Oh, she's just a fighter.
She's just a fighter. But she can do...
We've got a stat block up here that we're kind of checking through.
Double checking the stuff. But she does get to reroll attacking dice against enemy people who are enemy heroes or villains who are capping an objective or who are picking one up.
Is that just if they're near an objective, within a certain
they're
amount of range?
within range 1 of an objective, and it's like a static one that doesn't move, she gets to reroll dice. Or if they're holding one like Spider effective.
Like all attack dice?
I believe so.
Because that's crazy.
Yeah, any number of attack dice.
Wow. When I was playing in the core, having Baron Zemo reroll 1 attack dice, that's mental.
Really nice, yeah.
Having all of them reroll on a 2-threat character, that can... What's their attack stat? Because that feels like you can
So yeah, that's the
Just
thing.
pop
So
someone.
so she hits fairly hard, but not super hard. Her main thing is that her wilds include a lot of debuffing stuff. So we've got stun, which reduces the attack roll of the opponent's dice by 1.
Always huge.
So that's her shock assault sword, which is range 3, and it's energy based, which again was good.
Yep.
And then her default strike, it gives her power equal to the damage done, and then it also applies shock, which means you get 1 less power when you go to get power. Basically, so whenever you try to get power, if you're getting more than 1, it gets reduced to 1.
If you got 3, reduced to 1. Yeah. Okay.
Reduced by 1. Sorry,
by 1. To a minimum of 1.
To a minimum of 1. That's what I'm trying to say.
So if you got a 3 or 4 point character trying to cap an objective, someone that's moving really, really quick. Star-Lord obviously has huge movement and things like that.
Yeah.
If you sit on objective, you can just disable him, make him really weak. If he doesn't capture the objective as well, his next actions, I guess, are just hold the objective or take the objective. And this is kind of what we're talking about when we refer to 2-point characters doing these incredible things. If I have a 2-point character, or 2-threat character, I should always say, taking out a 4-threat character or higher, like just disabling them for a turn, that's crazy. Because that means I've got 2 threat characters, 2 against 4, obviously, 2 characters for 1, I'm disabling 1. That's a 2-3 threat.
Exactly. And she's got her movement speed is large template, so she's a really quick mover.
Wow.
Her defenses are...
Is that not worth 2-threat alone being like a large movement?
A large
that's
move
crazy.
Template. Exactly, yeah. Her defenses are 3, 3, and 2. So again, all these 2-threat heroes are going to be generally on the lower side of defense.
They're pretty
squishy. That's how they try to balance them. But when she flips, she gets an extra stamina and goes from 4 to 5.
Wow.
And she's just got some very good kind of other defensive things along the lines of she can reroll 1 defensive die.
Rerolling dice, that is not a common thing in Crisis Protocol I've seen. Like, if you're rerolling dice, it's pretty huge. In the core, you've got, like, Baron Zemo again is the big one that kind of rerolls dice. And maybe if you use some effect
Spider-Man's
cards.
got some defensive ones as well.
I think Red Skull's cards you can use to kind of reroll some dice on characters. But, like, it's not common.
It's not a common thing.
What you see is what you get a lot with this. So.
She also gets to remove a damage from herself at the power phase at the beginning.
And she's got regen?
Yeah, exactly.
So you really just got to go out there and make sure she's dead or else she's just...
exactly. And the last things is that she's got immunity to bleed, poison, and stun.
So she's actually surprisingly tanky.
Exactly, yeah. She's got that kind of surprise tankiness. Again, you've got really low defense, but she's not going to get picked off from...
Black Widow had a similar thing, right?
Yeah.
But the long range you can't get in. You've really got to get in close, but then she negates some of the attacks and stuff.
Yeah. So I think Nebula's got, again, some really great stuff in terms of...
really unique abilities in that as well.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. Yeah.
We'll move straight on next one. We've got
a Koya. Yeah. So part of the Wakandan affiliation. I love Koya. She just, for 2
threat, with her a little bit already.
Yeah, for 2 threat, she just hits like an absolute truck.
Powerhouse. Like, we're talking about, 2 threats, I guess, focus on a particular thing, right, really well. Black Widow was being able to move, get on objectives, kind of hold it for a little bit. You saw Nebula being actually a bit of a disruptor with the movement as well, and kind of being the surprising tank almost. And you reckon, Koya,
yeah. It's real. It took me ages to get it down.
He's going to run in with the giant spearhead and just dunk.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's got Vibranium Shield Blast, which is an energy. It's range 4 dice, 0 power, and you get a power after you do the attack, which is a nice way to get certain power coming through. It's got its generic strike, which is range 2, 4 dice, 0 power. Again, you get power equal to damage done.
So just standard kind of cantrips, I guess.
Exactly, yeah. She's got this, her really kind of unique thing that I quite enjoy about her is that she's got 3s across the board, and as far as defense is concerned, for energy and mystic.
Pretty standard. Again, on a 2-threat character, that's not bad. That's not shabby at all.
But can reroll an attack or defense die.
Okay.
Which again is really good for their output. And has the same thing as Black Widow, where if you are within range 2, you get to add blanks to your total successes in defense rolls against physical and energy.
Yeah, okay.
So again, she's got that kind of nice, almost tanking kind of vibe, because again, 3s across the balls is pretty good. I think 4 is kind of a good way to be like, you are very tanky in this field, like Captain America is going 4-4-3. So having 3s is generally, you're on the buffer side of things.
Saying you're 1 defense dice less than Captain America.
Yeah, exactly. Like, with that shield though,
I guess she's got 4 stamina, so that's not what I can say.
4 stamina, yeah.
That's not a huge amount.
It's not a huge amount, but she also has Bodyguard, which I think is where she can really start to shine, because she's got she's got medium movement, but she's just got this nice aspect of she's got those like defensive reroll die. She's got the adding blanks, and then she can move into position and then take a hit for someone.
Okay.
On top of that, which is you just become the
target
target of the attack.
There's no dice roll or anything like that.
Yeah. So you pick an allied character. It costs 2 power.
Not a huge amount of power, actually.
Not a huge amount.
Again, on a 2-threat character. So you're saying I can just spend 2 threat and give one of my characters 4 extra health?
Exactly. Yeah. So she's just, again, it's just when you look at these characters and you just think, okay, there's a lot going on there. Maybe it's not crazy overpowered, but then you think it's 2 threat. It's 2 threat. Like it's barely anything.
There's a lot of things happening here, and you've just got to remember at 2 threat. Like I was talking with a couple of friends earlier, and like surely being a hero is worth 2 threat. Then you have the abilities on top.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Even just being something to activate. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Even if it was just generic attack and move
you could remove these abilities and just have like an attack, the defense rate. That's probably a threat or 2 in itself, right?
Yeah, exactly. And her last kind of like ultimate attack, I guess the kind of main thing is got it's just got a lot of nice utility to it. So it's range 2, it's 5 dice, 4 power, so very costly. Yeah. But it's got 2 wilds, which are always nice.
Ooh.
Pierce, which is the first one, change one of the defending characters
dice to a blank.
Yep. And then flurry, which is after the attack is resolved, it can make a strike attack.
Oh, so you get 2 attacks in the one. So that's where you actually get to run in and you use some cards with those as well. Give some extra rerolls, get some extra dice onto that. You can walk in and just dunk.
Yeah, you start looking at, using them with affiliations, and you start getting
rerolls. What's her movement out of curiosity?
It's medium, yeah. Okay. So again, it's
not all the 2 threats can have a large movement.
Exactly, yeah. But it is just very,
We say that. Moving on to your next favorite character.
Yeah, oh man.
What's his movement, just quickly out of that one?
He is also medium.
Oh, okay. I thought he was going to just jump pack it on and just like fly with style across the board.
Interestingly enough, he actually doesn't have a jetpack in this. He does not have flight. He is just a medium movement, right? Which is interesting. I know. I find that very fascinating. Rocket Raccoon. I love Rocket Raccoon a lot. He's so weird. He's so difficult. Like he's just like He's got 2s across the board, except for Mystic.
So he's super squishy.
3. He's got 3 stamina. Like a stiff breeze will knock him over. Like exactly. Like he's so weak, but he's just got these other really great things. So he's got small stature. He's the only current hero out who's got size 1. As far as height is concerned.
So I can just walk over him?
Exactly. Because basically, everyone can just walk over him. He's the smallest model we've got. I think we got Ant-Man and the Wasp coming out, which obviously that'll be size 1.
Or they could be size 10.
Giant. I dig it. But because of that, he has the small stature innate ability, which gives him, he's always in cover.
Yeah, okay.
Which is nice. Or he always gains the benefit of cover, which is you get to switch a blank dice into a defensive dice. One.
Yeah, okay.
He's there's not really a lot going on as far as his things like his abilities and his passes and stuff like that. What I find really interesting is that he's got personal bodyguard, which is the first time that another character's card has been referenced on a different card.
Yeah, okay.
To my understanding.
So he himself is average, arguably, and nothing really shines out about him. But by the sound of things, you're about to mention one of his best friends.
Yeah,
arguably
exactly.
his best friend.
Yeah, his best friend, Groot. So basically, he's got the ability called Personal Bodyguard. It's Personal Bodyguard.
Yep.
It's 0 power, and whenever Rocket Raccoon becomes the target of attack, if there is a friendly Groot character, which is within 1, you can use the superpower, and the allied Groot becomes the target of the attack instead.
So you take Groot. Groot becomes your bodyguard.
Exactly, yeah. So it's very much like the bodyguard ability. Yeah, exactly, yeah. So Groot becomes your bodyguard, and you can just do this as much as you like. Groot's very tanky, and he's got this amazing ability to heal, which we can talk about later if we need to. But
how much stamina has Groot got? 7?
7, yes. Okay, yeah. And for 2 power, he can heal 3.
Yeah, okay, cool. So that makes a lot of sense.
There's also no limitation on that. It's not once per turn. It's just as long as you have the power to pay for it. So if you spent 4 power, you could get 6 health back.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so he's 4-2-3 as far as defense is concerned.
So he's pretty good.
So quite tanky for physical.
So when Rocket uses his bodyguard ability, we actually use Groot's stats, not
Yes, yeah.
Not
so
Rocket.
Basically it all just gets switched over to Groot because he gets in the way and goes like,
okay. So suddenly Rocket, maybe the tag team of them can sit on objectives really well, or maybe sustain a firefight really well. So, does Rocket punch really well? Has he got a good gun?
So both of his attacks are ranged 5. Which,
wow.
Which is really, really nice. His first one is just 5 dice, which is Great. It's a little above
Fine.
average.
Yep.
0 power. You gain power equal to the damage dealt.
Yeah, typical
Nice
cantrip.
and standard, but just that range 5 ability is just quite
That's
nice.
pretty huge.
And then that can be paired up very well with something called Deadly Duo, which is one of his team tactic cards, right? Which is that if you're within range 2 of an allied group and you both spend 2 power, Rocket and Raccoon can do that attack 3 times. But it has to be to 3 different targets.
Hey, but at range 5, that's pretty common.
Exactly, right? So you move them up the field, they're in the center, and they see 3 different people, and they go, and just that's 15 dice rolling on, 3 different people. So it's just
4 power though, right? So
it's 4 power, absolutely.
It's 2 across the board, but
yeah.
because it's actually 2 separate characters, it's significantly easier to get to
it together. Exactly, yeah. So that's just a really nice little way to just broadly do some damage to a lot of different people.
What was the threat of Groot? I feel like a 3.
3, yeah. Okay. So it's interesting. Some people
5 combo in total.
Yeah,
you got to compare that to your Modocs and your
exactly.
Your Ultrons.
But if you think about it, if you were to put these 2 things together, you're looking at
is that the equivalent of a Hulk?
10 wounds. You're looking at healing. You're looking at range 5 damage. I Am Groot's got ridiculous output. It's 6 power, but it's 8 dice, and you can throw people medium. It's just,
okay. Look,
but it's interesting that you. When you start to consider them as one unit, how differently you start to approach it. Because I think
they can be devastating firepower, very tanky, sit on objectives pretty well. And it means that if ever you try and attack them with more than one person, you can just play that team tactics card and just light up the board.
Exactly, yeah. And I guess where it starts to fall apart is that Rocket does need to be within 1 of Groot. So pushing and throwing is a massive thing in this game, especially if you've got a Spider-Man. You just push Rocket out of the way, and it takes again a stiff breeze to knock him over. So it's the interesting dynamic of you don't want Rocket to get too close,
but he's size 1. He can hide behind a lot of things to simply block line of sight, so you can't target him as well.
Great way to defend it. So that's why I say he's a very tricky character, because it's about not wanting to waste Groot by just keeping him near Rocket all the time, because you want him in the fight sitting on an objective punching someone in the face, because that's what he does. But you also don't want to just waste 2 threat with Rocket because he wasn't near Groot to be defended. So this kind of balance of keeping him in cover, keeping him near Groot, making sure he's not getting pushed.
If you can see the kind of team that your opponent drafts, because obviously we kind of draft teams in here, if you notice that they're not picking many throwers or disablers or movers on the board, suddenly having them 2 together is really, really easy.
Exactly, yeah. And the question is do you bring Rocket on his own and completely take out personal Bodyguard as even remotely for consideration?
I feel like kind of looking what we're saying here, the 2-point threats, if you're looking at a 2-point threat to kind of fill the slot, Rocket doesn't feel like what the others can do at that point, especially with such low stamina and a medium movement.
Yeah, exactly. If you're trying to build a Guardians of the Galaxy affiliation, you'll probably bring Nebula, who's part of that, rather than Rocket.
Yeah, okay.
But if you're looking for, I've been drafting a team at the moment, which is Venom, Spider-Man, Star-Lord, Groot, and Rocket.
Yeah.
And I do kind of a 3-pincer kind of move in. Yeah, okay. Because there's nice team tactic cards that kind of revolve with all of them. Star-Lord's great. You just sit him in the middle and he just goes around and does a bunch of debuffing.
Flying and shooting
but it's...
singing music.
Yeah, I was very... Yeah, exactly. I was very surprised at how quickly Rocket could be, pushed apart and taken down really quickly. So I think he's got... I did amazing work with the Deadly Duo, with the shooting 3 different enemies, and that felt really good, but it's so easy for him to be out of position.
A lot of potential, but
so he's a very delicate...
Very high skill ceiling and very high skill floor as well.
Exactly. I'm very keen to do more games with them, because I think when used properly...
Speaking of some games, I'm feeling it.
Yeah.
I've been chatting about it.
Yeah.
I think... we're going to call it here for now.
Yeah, sounds good.
And we're actually going to go play some games ourselves.
Yeah, sounds good.
So very quickly, for those of you listening on YouTube, it's where it's going to be uploaded. Please give us a like, subscribe if you're liking it. We should be doing this hopefully, once a week or so, once a fortnight. We're doing some Marvel CP kind of chats and things like that. Comment as well what your favorite characters are, what your opinions are on 2 threats, anything that we missed that you think is really good. As well on Instagram, general_games_Oz, and of course, Facebook.generalgames as well. We have PlaySpace opening up very, very shortly, so you actually can get some Marvel games in, which is going to be really exciting.
Yeah. No, it's going to be great. I'm very excited. I'm pumped to get it done. Do some more painting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you, Bill, for coming on.
Thank you.
You'll be seeing our faces. Thank you for watching, guys, and we will see you next time.